feel ready? All right, not that I know which one it is. Well, hi everybody, nice to meet you. Thanks for staying. I'm always afraid of the mass exodus when sessions change. So I hate to be witnessing where I'm like, where are you going? Don't you want to stay? So thank you very much. Super excited to be here. I just wanted to show you, because I was shocked when only like 2 hands went up. Maybe it was just early and you weren't into it yet, but we were talking about voice and how many of you have like used a voice product, and it was like just spattering of people. So I want to go ahead and give you a little demo, but as you know, live demos, right, like praying to the gods right now. So here we go. Let's see how it goes. Oh, let me turn her up first so that she at least. It's actually software. I think you can name it yourself. All right, here we go. But I do say she a lot. What time is it?
It's 1:07.
In New York, because I was there yesterday. Right? Yeah. All right, good. We're off to a great start. Start our talk. Maybe.
Hi, Noelle. Thanks for bringing me to sunny California. I just love being at SAP. Look at this place. It looks so colorful and creative. Thanks so very much for the invitation to speak here today.
It's going to be great.
I am excited to be here too. It's fun to be around designers and thought leaders. Thanks again for having me. By the way, if I am a little slow, forgive me. I am running on a portable hotspot today.
No problem. Let's get started.
Okay, let's do this. Test, test, 1, 2, 1, 2. Mic check. Here we go. Bring the hype. Let's make some magic. Let's build something awesome.
All right, let's go. Good job, Metro. So we're going to do a little Q&A at the end. It won't be a lot of time, but I certainly want to make sure that you guys have a chance to ask a couple questions. Be thinking about them right now. I am looking for my clicker. I'm Noelle. The reason I do this is because I'm super passionate about the platform, about voice. That is me. You're welcome to tweet me if you are that type of person. You can also email me. I'm pretty responsive in either case. I'm an evangelist, which I've been trying to be an evangelist like my whole career. Some of us, and you may know them in your own work environments, are just evangelical people. And that's who I was. And finally someone was like, you know, they actually have a job for that now. So 20 years in the making, I now get to go around and say all the fun things that I do with Alexa. I've built about 10 skills. Well, I shouldn't say that. I've built a lot of skills. I've published 10 skills, and I'll talk to you a little bit about them in my next few minutes with you. But I'm super excited about voice. I'll tell you a little bit more about why as we kind of go through this process. Voice will be everywhere. I say that, right? That's kind of funny because I'm talking to you right now. Voice is already everywhere. I was raised in a home that believed heavily in the golden age of science fiction. My dad had me reading books. I think I was 6 when I read my first like Asimov story and Bradbury and just a whole bunch of these people who back then were describing themselves. Now, it sounded like the future, but it really was right then. We just wanted to talk to anything. Machines, coffee makers, refrigerators. We just wanted to be able to talk like we do to our friend, to our computer, to the device we use more than in a very large amount of time. So in doing that, and in reading those books, I got this idea, and really a lot of us did, like, man, it'd be cool to talk to our computers, but it was really far off. And so in my lifetime, and of course my dad is now 70 and shocked that he can turn his lights on and off with his voice. My son, I have an 18-month-old, a 9-year-old, and an 11-year-old. My 18-month-old walks into the kitchen every morning. I go in and I'm making breakfast, and I've got all 3 plates balanced very carefully, milk on each plate. You shouldn't do that, but I do it every morning. And I walk in, and if I had to lift my elbow to turn on a light, I'd be in big trouble. So luckily I don't have to. I could just say, Alexa, turn on the lights. And my lights go on, and every time I do it, my 18-month-old goes, wow! Just like that, every time. And we do it hundreds of times. Every time, he's like, wow! Funny thing is, I went and set my dad's apartment up, 70 years old, right? Set him up. He did it. I said, go ahead, Dad, turn on the lights. And he's like, Alexa, turn on the lights. Like, real questioning. She did it, and guess what? He did the same thing. He's like, wow, that's amazing. And that's why Alexa is interesting and why it's become this kind of weird, magical, super fast story that we've kind of focused on. It's because it brings that level of magic, things that people have always wanted to do, it allows you to do it. Now, I don't want to be misleading. Setting up a smart home, getting things to actually work and stay working is not a trivial task. And that's really where I'm here to encourage you guys. Please help us. It is a user experience problem. We have a big gap between buying something on the shelf and then saying, Alexa, turn on the lights, or Alexa, how's whatever, asking a question. Building a experience for our customers that's easy for them to use. So there's a gap there, and that's kind of why I'm here and why I go around the country talking about this, because I'm passionate about the gap, and I want us that are specialized in this area to really focus on how can we make the magic that happens after setup really happen from day one. And that's a big philosophy at Amazon, is that we're always thinking, this is just the beginning. Even though we're a year and a half into a product now, still, day one, it's just the beginning, and so what can we do to make it better? Oftentimes I start my day by, of course, making breakfast and doing the whole arm wiggle. But then I get into my car and I'm not like Alexa only, right? I do sometimes have my Alexa enabled in my car, but most of the time I just say, hey Siri, I need to go to Starbucks, I'm not gonna take the same route because there's traffic, figure out a new way for me to go. It doesn't happen in that single transaction of my voice, but I do get there. I ask her for directions to work. I ask her to open Google or open Audible so I can listen to my book. I use my voice all the time in my car, and it's getting better every day. So I encourage you, for those of you who haven't done it, you should try it. It's not perfect because it's day one, but certainly something worth trying. Some of you might have seen on YouTube, very cool stuff. This guy enabled his Tesla to roll out of his garage with his voice. Scary as heck to watch. But I'm like, oh, is it gonna stop? I hope it stops. But it does. And he uses his voice, it's all software, right? So he wrote a piece of software that says, Alexa, roll my car out. And the car turns on, rolls out of the garage, and stops. It's a beautiful thing. These are all projects that people are working on, all things that are easily accessible, and it's the future, right? They give us good ideas about what our users want. They want it so bad they're willing to build it themselves. What does that say? So finally, of course, in our homes, Alexa, and really voice in general, will be the mechanism we use to do pretty much everything. Whether it's asking for a recipe, or more importantly, walking us through a recipe, right? I go and chop up some onions and get it all ready and preheat my oven, and then I'm like, okay, now what do? I should be able to ask Alexa, and she picks up right where I left off. I should be able to use my voice to authenticate to systems. Some organizations are doing this today. You guys actually have quite a bit at SAP of Alexa projects going on. I think there's a talk at like 11:30 or something outside that's going to talk about some of the things that you're working on. Lots of companies are working on it. Why? Because they want the wow factor. We call it echo magic. People want the echo experience. It doesn't matter if it's Alexa or, like, for example, you'll notice I never actually said Alexa, right? Isn't that interesting? You can implement Alexa software and never say the word. Just give the power to voice. And that's really why we're here. Obviously, Alexa is important, and that's a platform that I love, but it's really about a voice user experience and making that accessible to everyone. This is the future. This is where we're going. Lots and lots of devices, all of which are enabled. Connected home will move up to 45 million homes. I am not your average bear. I have like 40 devices in my house that are smart. I can turn on all the lights, and then here's my favorite part, in my bedroom, all inlaid lights, and I could just turn the one over my bed. Just the one. I think it's fantastic. Anyway, I'm easily pleased, I guess. $20 billion a year industry, just huge opportunity, and 60 million cars. We spend a lot of time in our cars. I hate to depress people with the statistic of how much time we spend in cars, or even in transit, really, but a lot. So what would it be like if we could actually voice enable some of that and do more while we're driving? Anyway, cognitive load, I get it. but it's an interesting opportunity for a lot of different companies. So Alexa has an entire ecosystem. This ecosystem is free to use. We encourage developers. Before I got onto the Alexa team, that's what I was doing. I was building skills for Alexa. Some of you know that there's like these movies. I read a book that said something to the effect of like, the world will end in singularity and stuff like that. Scary stuff. I was 6, like what? So needless to say, my first skill, guess what it was? Daily affirmation. I taught Alexa to say an affirmation. The second skill I got, mindfulness. She can meditate too. See, that wasn't in those movies or those books. She didn't learn coping mechanisms or peaceful skills. So that's what I focused on, and most of my skills bring like joy or peace or, but that's me. If you get to know me, you'll be like, of course Noelle built a daily affirmation skill. That's just who she is. But that's the benefit. You also, every single one of us have something cool that we could do or say or build. And building for voice is much, I won't say it's easier, but it's accessible. It's something that anyone can do. I teach developers and non-developers alike, and they build the same level of skill set, right? They build the same type of experiences. You can always find a developer to help you. I'll help you. But most importantly, you can find a way to create an experience no matter what your product is, no matter what your service is. You should be able to allow for a voice experience. Let me give you an example. We call it infinite top level intense. When you go to a website or go on a mobile app, you almost always have to click on something. As soon as you click on something, you're now doing more than what you probably could have done had you just been able to ask for it, right? You could have just said, bank, what's my routing number? Instead of going into like the bank app and then having to log in and having to click on something, right? You could just ask for what you want. That's the future of voice. Create a top level structure of anything anyone ever wants to know about you or your product, and start there. Remember, it's day one. We're not building, maybe some of us are, but we're not at a stage where mass amounts of people are building extremely complex voice experiences. We're kind of like the days of brochureware in websites, right? We first just started telling people about ourselves on websites. It's experiences. So that's where we are now. We are in the same space. We are creating an opportunity for you, for anyone who controls a brand, who has a message, who wants to create a voice experience. You can do this very easily. We do this with what's called Alexa Skills. We have Alexa Skills Kit, which is the developer API, again, free to use. Then we also have Alexa Voice Service. Alexa Voice Service is really kind of the future, what we consider 2017. And I'll show you a little bit more about what that looks like. But because many of you may not know voice, let's just take a quick look at how this works. First, just like I did, I press a button or I say a word and I say, Alexa, or what time is it? And a voice stream is opened and connected to our Alexa cloud. Inside this cloud, magic happens. NLU, or natural language understanding, and ASR, or speech recognition, work together, combined, tied at the hip, married happily, to provide you a level of confidence with what you ask for. That's why when you say something, even if you get it a little bit wrong, she still figures it out. Once that happens, she figures out is what you want the code you wrote. If it is, it'll pass that request on to that code, return it back in the form of text, and get this, a visual representation. The benefit of a visual representation is to get you out of the idea that voice is voice and it's singular and that's it. Voice is one user interface, and we should build for as many as we can. That's when somebody was, that guy, super important guy up here, asking about diversity, right? That's what it's about. Build for as many interfaces, as many users as you can. And this is just one of them. Alexa will get, any device will get a response back in audio, and then you'll pass back a graphical response to a screen, to Fire TV, right? All of these guys could have a card show up that says, oh, your weather is this today, right? Any device. And let me show you a little bit about what that looks like. So these are all of the different, and this is not exhaustive, this is just to give you an idea. Alexa, moving forward, what's important? Alexa can be in anything, and really voice can be in anything. All right, so I say Alexa, it could be my car, it could be my speakers. Alexa itself, meaning I could talk to these devices. I don't need an Echo, I don't need a Dot. They're nice, I will have them. But I don't need them because eventually we are now communicating with partners that are embedding them in their products themselves. If you want an example of this, Invoxia Tribi is one of our products that recently released that it has Alexa built in. You can talk to it just like you talk to the Echo. Very cool stuff. Right? So these are just some of our smart home partners, just to give you an idea. This deck will be available for you guys later, so don't worry too much about like, oh, where do I go buy the cool light bulb she showed? And I also included a list of links for you guys to get building, right? Build a skill. I built an aromatherapy skill because you should diffuse peace and happiness. So I wrote a tutorial on it. It sits on our Amazon blog. But more importantly, it could be anything. What would you like? I built a lot of skills for my dad. What would you like to build in order to make someone's life easier? There's just a huge opportunity in the marketplace to do that. So just a couple of links. Again, I put this in here just for your reference so that when you get this deck, you'll have a couple links in it. But it's an opportunity to make magic happen, right? To get people to go, wow, I could do that with my voice. I could ask one thing and it happens. That's amazing. So I encourage you. I hope this kind of creates a small twinkle in the eye of opportunity, and certainly stay in touch. I'm always on Alexa Deb's Twitter handle, but of course Noelle LaCharite as well. So we're going to open up for Q&A, but thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. This is great. So we're going to take a couple of questions. I'll walk around, so just raise your hand if you have a question. Okay, in the back. I'm running.
What do you imagine, like, multi-language?
If I could like bottle questions and just like open it up and air it out, that's the question I get all the time. There's two, so I'm just going to wait and see if the other one comes in. But the question was, what about multi-language support? Kind of going to the diversity point. Interesting. So we have a product. It's a US-based product. Why is it US-based? Because that's a huge market for Amazon, and if we get that right, chances are we set ourselves up for success. So that's what we're doing. We're hyper-focusing on really nailing the US market and the English language. If you know anything about natural language, phonemes and lexicon, it's not an easy thing to solve. We've been working on English for years. So as we develop an expertise and as we move our products across the globe, you'll definitely see us take languages into account as well. But I'm thinking you're asking if it's like soon, and yeah, I can't. There's no words on that. Ow. Thanks for your question, though. Yes?
So, slightly different from your evangelism for voice. If you had a wish for another cognitive skill that a computer could have, what would it be?
Ooh, that's like Noelle. What are your dreams? Cognitive skill other than voice. I guess the next big thing is, so our voice experiences are very much like call and respond, right? So I built that skill this morning that talked to you and I said, when I say this, you say that. Conversational AI is super important, I think. And I think about that because of elder care and like my dad who's alone in a nursing home. I'd love for him to just have a conversation with Alexa and her know enough about his history and his appointments and just to be able to make his life easier and him feel like he has someone to talk to. So that would be, but again, that's very much Noelle's pet project and I would love to see that. Right now I script it based on what I think he might say, but oftentimes I can watch all of his utterances because it's on my account. I can watch all of his utterances and he often goes, oh, just forget it. Which means I got work to do. But thank you for that question.
Awesome. I wish we had time for more questions, but unfortunately the next talk is on in 5 minutes, but you're more than welcome to mingle. I know there are more questions and find Noelle
Yes,
throughout the
absolutely.
day. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.